What's up, guys? It's Matt Jackson and Clay Smith, and we are the Wash Bros. Thanks for tuning in. Welcome to episode 9 of season 2. And in this episode, we're kind of going to talk about we're going to break down how to hit $1,000 day. So we talk about a lot of things, but we understand a lot of guys who listen to this may be on the newer side and want us to kind of break it down from the start and say, like, the number one thing you should do is figure out how to hit that $1,000 day. And we'll kind of talk about our mindset, marketing, sales, and how we set ourselves up from the beginning to get ourselves booked up so we can grow our business. So you want to kick this thing off, Clay?
Absolutely. I always like to do the good deeds and kicking this thing off. As always, we appreciate everybody listening, downloading our content here, taking a listen on our live stream we got going on YouTube, Apple Podcast, the whole 9 yards. We appreciate all the support. Um, so booking your first $1,000 day, very exciting. I think it's very cool that we're actually talking about this episode because I almost thought it was impossible. And I think that a lot of guys are starting into this maybe a little small minded, as I was. I was guilty of that. You know, I just wanted to hit the $200 and $300 a day when I first started, which is just insanely crazy to even think about now. Because if I only did a 200, I can't leave. I won't even leave the house for that much now, obviously. And I know you wouldn't either, Matt. So, um, how do you set yourself up to hit that $1,000 mark? We're going to go ahead and we're going to go over all of that in this episode. I'm so excited to actually talk about it because there's so many things that go into place that you don't even think about, that make sure that you can do it and do it consistently.
I,
Consistent,
that
consistency. Yeah.
consistency is a word that we like to use a lot because it's true. And one thing that's cool is we're going to start coming out with merchandise and shirts with our favorite catchphrases and some cool pressure washing lingo on them. So that'll be something that you'll check out. We'll probably drop a link maybe after this episode airs Sunday night. So be something cool.
That would be awesome.
But back to Clay's point about in the beginning, a lot of us come from jobs, say we're working like an hourly wage or we're young. A lot of guys nowadays are starting from scratch. They're like, hey, I'm a high school kid or I'm 15 years old, 16. I'm trying to figure something out. And I see online that everybody's talking about pressure washing. That's something to do. And yeah, you know how to buy the equipment, you know how to do the job, but you don't know where to price. And this episode we'll talk about how that we get from just having the equipment to finding jobs and pricing jobs correctly so we're actually making money and being profitable. Because on Facebook right now in our busy season, you see guys posting stuff that's attracting the wrong type of business, the wrong type of work, or they're advertising themselves way too low pricing wise. So we hope with this episode that we're going to kind of break down a lot of these things that people are doing wrong and tell you what you're doing, you need to start to do correctly, and then get your mindset in check, and then get you to sell yourself and your value so you can easily hit those $1,000 days.
And it's much easier than you think. Right. And once I started doing it and doing it and doing it and doing it, it's just like clockwork. It's almost like brushing your teeth in the morning. It's very, very easy. The biggest thing is consistency, setting yourself up to be successful, doing the things every day that you need to do to make sure you can hit that number. And you just got to basically take out a piece of paper and a pen and write down all the things that you're doing and all the things you need to work on, and then try to figure out how to get there. And before we actually got on here tonight, I was actually looking and I actually sent it to you, Matt, the $149 ad. I'm not sure how. I know that you can, like, beginning, starting out, you can make money, I guess, doing a house for that if you're quick enough or whatnot. However, you know your mind is with where your mind is with that kind of stuff. But if you're advertising for cheap customers, you're going to get cheap customers. And in my experience in businesses, when you're advertising for the cheap customers, those are usually the harder ones to deal with and the most trouble that I deal with, in in the pressure washing business. I mean, they just seem the pickiest because they're trying to get the most bang for the buck while you're there.
Exactly. And a lot of times too, a guy or a customer who's a great customer is not going to be interested in an ad that says we'll wash your house for $149 because it's almost like the Walmart. Like, you go to where we live in Greenville, there's different options for grocery stores. You got people that shop at Walmart, and then you got people that shop at Whole Foods. We want to be that Whole Foods option to people. We want to be on the same street, but people choose us and pay more because we get more value, they get more value out of us than a budget. And like, I'm sure those people who shop at Whole Foods would love to save money, but they see value in what Whole Foods provides as opposed to what Walmart provides. And that's the same strategy we want. If like I go to, well, like I'll shop at Whole Foods and they're not posting sales every day. They're not posting sales everywhere. Usually it's like, hey, this is expensive, but we're going to buy this because there's value there. And if you're throwing out bait, like you're throwing ads or you're putting marketing out and posting and putting signs up, advertising yourself as the cheapest, you're just going to attract the cheap customers. And it's not like, oh, I'm going to pressure rush that multi-million dollar house and I'm the cheapest bid. Those customers aren't even going to pay attention. They want somebody that they know, like, and trust. And if you start out by selling yourself short and say, oh, we do this for bare bottoms pricing, you're going to be invisible to these people that are searching for or they're searching for that higher value company and pay more money. So you're just going to attract these cheap people that nobody wants. And like, if you're trying to hit $1,000 a day, you're going to have certain amount of jobs that you do a day, and you have to have a certain amount of pricing of those jobs per day. So it makes sense.
Yeah, like on average, I know that me and you both, we have 3 to 4 stops a day on average per truck. So if if I'm advertising $150 house washes, it's going to be almost impossible to hit $1,000 a day.
It would be
And
impossible.
I know that where we're at in our stages of business, we want to hit at least $1,500 a day on a truck. If we're not doing that, then we got to figure out what we're doing wrong to get more customers or figure out what's going on. However, if back to go what I was saying, $150 house wash, if you do 3 of those, you're only at $450. So something's got to be done. It's all a numbers game. How can I get to that $1,000? If I can do 3 stops, if I have a $300 minimum, times that by three, I have $900. And you're 9 times out of 10 not going to do three $300 jobs. And that's, I think that basically with me and you, Matt, we set that $300 minimum. Once we set that minimum at $300, because everybody's going to want to wash their house and their driveway more than likely. So then you bump into those $400 and $500 tickets. So then, on average, we're doing those 5 to 550 on average tickets, and then that's how we get to our $1,700 days. So it's like you say, Matt, it's so much easier than you really think of, you think it is. It's just a numbers game. You got to figure out what can I get my average ticket to and how can I get there. It's not so much a what do I charge per square foot game. It's a what can I get my ticket to game.
Exactly right. What can I get my ticket to? And know your speed and know your numbers. If you have really good stuff and you know, hey, this house down the street from me is going to take me 5 minutes to get there, and I can bang it out and make $300 in 45 minutes, you you can charge $300 for that house because your time you can hop across and do another house. And then like how Clay and I price things, we, like you said, we kind of break it down to the day and say, okay, I know this day I have this many hours I'm working, and if I got a couple easy jobs that are close to each other at $300, I can squeeze another one in. We're not saying, oh, that one job that we're going to fixate on and charge X amount per square foot. Like that's not the game to play. The game that we play, because we do volume and we stay busy and we have growing businesses, is breaking it down, breaking our goals down into that day rate. So that $1,000, if you're brand new, $1,000 is a very attainable thing to do per day. And whether that's 3 jobs at like $350, because I think that would end up to be like 1,050 or something like that, if you're just doing rough numbers. So what we like to do, and I'll tell customers this, it's like, hey, we have a $300 minimum, like almost off the bat. And if they're like, oh, we just have a tiny patio or a driveway, yeah, sure. While we're there, we're really fair and we can knock out a lot of work. We just require like $300 minimum. And then they're like, oh, so how much is it to do this and this? So I'll take that $300 of just doing like their sidewalk and their driveway to, oh, we can do your house and that for like 450. And they're like, oh, that sounds fair. If $300 just to do this, and then you're going to throw in my house for only an extra $150, that sounds real fair. We're not charging by the square foot. We're looking at the size of the home and say it's going to take us this much time for the total trip there. And that's how we're doing $450 in like 2 hours. We're not sitting here trying to be like, oh, well, I got to charge this much per square foot. I got to charge this much for this. And that's just confusing and just wasting time, because the objective is to hit that $1,000 day or the $1,500 day. And then we break it down into the jobs. So it's pretty simple math.
100% agree with everything you just said, especially with the with the square footage thing. If I could figure out a square footage formula that would work, I would be rich. But
Yeah.
um,
It varies
I
too,
just
because if you're just cleaning a brick house and you're cleaning the trim and it takes one lap around, that's completely different than some heavily saturated vinyl siding house that's going to take multiple passes. So like the square footage game doesn't work there.
correct. I always chuckle when these newer guys they call and try to get pricing from me, and I always know it's a new guy because they ask how much I charge per square foot, trying to pretend to be a customer, and I already know it's a customer's not going to ask how much you charge per square foot. Just in my experience with the volume of leads that we get.
Exactly. And then people are like, well, I charge by linear feet. So they even more complicate it and say, I'm measuring the linear feet around the building and then multiplying it by this. Don't fixate on trying to sound smart and technical when you're just completely missing the point. And I feel like that's the newbie trap that people fall into, because every guru or everybody online tries to be that hot shot that knows all these random facts and unnecessary things, because instead of them going out there and doing stuff and making money, they're sitting here kind of being a keyboard warrior back to you and saying, oh, you need to charge by this because this is what I get. Meanwhile, they're doing X amount of jobs a month and they're not making any money. So like there's a huge difference between the people who are actually going out there getting it and pricing it based upon their time and running it like a business and saying, this is the month goal I have. We're going to break it down into say $1,000 a day. And then we're going to be doing it in this many jobs a day. Like it's the framework that we use is way better than that square footage pricing, or I only charge this much. Like, don't get stuck in the weeds. Don't get caught up in all that kind of industry bullshit where these people are telling you online what to do when they're not doing it themselves.
It's like I said on Mike and Jeremy's podcast the other day. You know, anybody can do anything awesome one good time, and they'll brag about it 100 times. But how many times did they actually do it? So if you can't, if you do one good thing one time, but you can't consistently do it, then it doesn't matter.
Exactly. And reality of the situation, if you look at numbers, a lot of times like 20% of like say you're giving out estimates and there's 20% of the people that aren't going to question it. They're just going to say, "Yes, sure." There'll be a laydown customer. And like you get volume into the game, and if you're like, "Oh, I hit this one person at 30 cents a square foot and I just like took advantage of them." Like that's not the norm. You just got lucky and got that right customer. And we'll do jobs and it'll be like the last guy did it for $900 or $850 and it took him all day, and Clay and I will be like $500 and be in and out in an hour and 2 hours, and they're like, whoa, you guys are awesome. So do we want to be the guy that stretches it out and like dicks customer over and thinks, oh, this is the old school way of doing it, I've been doing it for 20 years, what do you guys know? Or do you want us to lap you by doing so much more volume and being more efficient and making more money? And that customer is going to say, whoa, this guy did it for cheaper price, better quality, and he was not wasting all day long at my house. Like people don't want to be charged a ton of money and have somebody sitting at their house all day long doing nothing. So like I think like initially a customer would be like, oh, you're going to be here all day, and you're like, no, I'll be here in 90 minutes. And like the professionalism that we deliver is like through our equipment and our techniques, and they're like wowed by it. They're like, wow, you guys rock. So like you can make $200-300 an hour being professional and then moving to the next job, and these customers are going to say, this guy knows what he's doing.
And you're not tying up their whole day. They probably would like to be doing 100 other things and being stuck at their house, even though they really don't have to be. They just, I think it makes them feel better to be there. I haven't really figured that one out yet. I always chuckle whenever I get the customers that are like, "Oh, well, I want to make sure I be here. Like, are you going to come out and hold the hose for me?"
Yeah, I'll charge you extra if you want to be my helper. I'll even give you a shirt. I got one in the truck.
Yeah. So, and another thing is, I see a lot of people they're getting fixated on their equipment. I'm freaking huge on keeping my equipment just the simplest as it can be. You know, I don't want to have to pull out 3 or 4 different hoses to do 4 different things. I want to pull my water hose, hook it up to the house, turn my water on, greet the customer, walk, do my walk around. I mean, I have my own little routine. You know, walk around with a customer at the house and try to figure out what they're really concerned about, the heavy areas that really need attention, and then get to work. I mean, like I say, hook the water hose up, pull my pressure hose, start the pressure washer up, and go to town. And on average, I think that I'm in and out an hour to hour and a half on each stop, and that's how
And
I'm able to knock out 5 to 6 jobs a day, if need be. You know, if that's what it's going to take to get my thousand, my $1,500.
Yeah. And I don't think you have any complaints of being too fast or like not being enough attention to detail. If anything, these people probably give you a tip because they're like, this guy knows what he's doing. And they see your social media and they see your Google reviews and they say, this isn't some fluke. This guy does this all the time. And they respect that. And that's like the value that we build into our companies. Like,
Yeah, I mean, I've worked very hard to make sure that our customers are confident when we show up, and they already, with our and me and you both, Matt, we that's how we brand ourselves. They feel like they know us when we show up and start cleaning at the house or whatnot. So, just feeling confident in what you do, and not being like, just that skittish guy showing up with a pressure washer, and you got to be confident when you show up to that customer's door and shake their hand and know what you're talking about.
exactly. And that's where you want to, and then this kind of circles back to the beginning of the podcast when we were talking about people advertising just to get work. And then their strategy is like, well, I just upsell. I'm the upsell guy. Well, if you're baiting a customer in at a low ticket, you're not really going to upsell them that successfully. And if you are, they're going to be pissed off. And that's not what we want. We don't want to start a relationship off bad from the start, and we don't want to complicate and make our day too long. Like we we pride ourselves in like efficiency and moving forward in like volume. And that's I think the name of the game in pressure washing. Everybody is trying to sell high tickets in this space, but I mean, there's way too much competition for people to be like trying to rip everybody's head off at $1,500 a ticket and have enough work to make this a full-time gig. So like the shift in the industry is more towards the model that we're at, and it's leading by like pretty much showing up at somebody's house and being efficient, knocking it out, and then moving to the next one, not getting hung up on the details, not getting hung up on the nonsense. And you also don't want to attract the crappy customers, because like attracting the right customer from the start is the most important thing. I feel like you and I have very similar customers where they don't really balk at the price, and if they do, we instantly like shoot them down. We're like, sorry, call somebody else. Like we had a guy call us on local service ads today. Funny enough, Clay let me know, he's like, this guy just was trying to like beat me up on a $300 minimum. And then not even 5 minutes later, he called me because we were probably next in line on local service ad. And he kind of gives me the same spiel. And I was like, we don't move our truck for less than $300. Click. So like, we do not want to say, okay, yes, sorry, sir. For 275, I'll come out and do whatever you need me to do. And then you get there and he's like, well, can you do that while you're at it? And then you're like, this is wasting my time, and he's not going to pay me for it.
Yeah, they keep, in my experience, it's just exactly like what you said. You get out there and well, can you add this? Can you hit this while you're here?
It's like,
They try to get so much
can you
more
get
out of
my
you.
furniture clean? No.
Yeah, can you flip every one of these cushions over for me and then flip them over on the other side when you're done with the one side after they dry out? Yeah, and it's very. I mean, it's so true. I mean, they're all the same way, and it blows my mind. It's almost like they get together and have a little group, and they all do it to everybody. I don't know,
I
but
swear
they're
it's like
all the same.
it's an it's like a entitlement attitude of people who are kind of broke, and they think that, oh, these people need to like bend over for me to do work, and we cut that out from the start. We're like, absolutely not. Call somebody else. So you don't want to be attracting these types of people, because once you say, hey, we have like a $300 minimum, we have a minimum where if we book a job, we can hit that $1,000 day without too many stops. So like 3 or 4 stops. And then a lot of times, like we're saying, hey, if it's $300 for us to show up and do like that tiny driveway and little patio you were talking about, we can throw in that house for 450 in total, and that's a great deal. And for us, it's maybe an extra 30 minutes, and the customer thinks they got a rocking deal. So like, there's so much psychology that goes into the play of pricing, and it like a customer's not sitting here and saying, oh, well, you need to be at this much per square foot, or you need to be this, or you need to be at that. They're looking at it and saying, I can do that. That's fair. I don't want to do it. 450, 500, $600. That's cool with me. Like that's how we price things and how we think. And if you're just starting out, you want to be selective in who you take on, because in the beginning, I was chasing these like $100 jobs, and then I'd be doing 4 jobs at $150 on these tiny little driveways. And then it'd be like, oh, I made $600 for a full day work. And it's like you
Yeah.
can't ever get ahead because there's costs associated with that. So like this guy was running a Facebook ad for a $149 driveway or $149 house wash. Well, how much is he spending on his ads? Probably a minimum of $10 a day. How much does it cost for bleach? $5 a gallon. How much is gas? $3 a gallon. What is truck? What is insurance? What is his equipment? The guy's probably not making a penny. And it's easy to get caught up in revenue and miss out on your profit. And then a lot of these people are like, I don't have any money. I can't afford it. It's like, charge more.
Yeah, it's it can be a tough business because everybody's wanting to do the pressure wash and stuff. But you set yourself up to be successful. Do the things, be consistent, do the things we tell you to do. You can be very, very successful. And one of the things that has helped, I know that's helped you, and I know that's helped me, and that kind of helps us be at the top of our market is the Google reviews. Um, if you haven't set up your Google My Business profile with Google Maps or however you go into your Google profile, make sure that you've set that up and set it up immediately because it may not make a difference right now, but in 2 to 3 years down the road, if you consistently get those reviews and you work on your profile and you do the proper things that you need to do, it's going to pay off. Because I can, we're on year 4 or 5. I feel like I've been doing this 20 years, but if you make sure that you do everything, you'll be like me and Matt. Matt's got almost 500. I'm trying to get to 400 Google reviews. And when they go and they start doing this price shopping crap or whatever they do, these customers, if they do it, 9 times out of 10, if you give them a fair price and you have the 3 or 400 Google reviews, they're more than likely going to go for you. Even if they do get a price from the guy that's only got 20 reviews, they're still probably going to go with you because you're still fairly priced, even if it is $50 more.
I think there's been multiple times where has said, "Hey, if you can lower it $50, or if you can drop your price $100, I'll go with you." And you say, "No, we don't do that." And then they say, "Okay, well, we still want to go with you."
Yep, just like
And
I had. And if you go to our Wash Bros group in Facebook, you'll be able to see that.
more times than not, somebody quoted of a business that was not as branded as well as ours, or had less Google reviews or less reputation, and they were trying to get us to lower our price to their value that was given, and they saw more value in us, so they're willing to pay us more money because we stand our ground and we're not saying, "Oh, sure, I'll price match." Like, we don't want to get in that game. This is the spring when we're shooting this. We're in the spring season, so you don't want to negotiate. You don't want to let your customer kind of take advantage and take control of the situation. Because too, if they're beating you up on the front end, wait until you get to the job and they're like, "Well, you missed a spot. You didn't do this. You didn't do this. I'm not gonna pay you until you do this." Like, no, no, no. We don't play that game. It's like, here's the invoice.
Yeah, those are definitely the worst.
So like the whole game is to know your worth. Say we want to hit $1,000 a day. That's a great starting point. I remember when I started this game part time, so I had Monday through Friday to book Saturday and Sunday, and I would just do organic marketing at that point because I didn't have a lot of money. And I'd say, hey, if I can get 3 jobs or 4 jobs at 3 or 400 bucks, there's my Saturday, and then there's my Sunday. I'm not over here trying to chase every opportunity just because, oh, $100 I'll drive here, $100 I'll drive there. Like, you quickly run out of time, and so it's a time game. Do a minimum of like 300 something bucks, and then try to bang them out as fast as you can. Because like Clay says, like, it's a volume game, and what you do catches up to you years down the road. Like, Clay's really good on is like Google My Business stuff because of he's been consistent with it. And I've started to notice him popping up in areas where if I search pressure washing, like in a different area, like his name would start to show up in the map packs. And that's just because of the consistency, like he was saying.
Yeah, you don't see results right away. It's so hard to get discouraged with that stuff. But in the long run, it really does pay off. Google is looking for the most active profile. Who is the most active? Who's getting the most reviews? Who's posting the most pictures? Who's writing the most descriptions? Whoever is the most active is who Google loves. And whoever is active, whoever is consistently active on their platform. And that's who they want because they know that that you're going to take care of their customer, because at the end of the day it's their customer, it's not your customer, because they're going to Google to find pressure washing. So technically it's Google's customer, and Google wants that customer to return just like you want that customer to return to you. So boom.
Absolutely. He just described Google's business model right there. If you're using Google as a search engine, you want trustworthy people. So they're going to make you have to do everything you possibly can in your power to be trustworthy, consistent, and predictable. So that way Google says this guy is the guy you need to hire, and Google doesn't say, "Oh yeah, this is somebody you need to hire." And then they hire you, they get mad, they say, "I'm never going to search anybody on Google again. That sucked." So,
Absolutely, they'll go to Yahoo or wherever else they have search engines at.
no doubt. But
But but it's like you were saying earlier, the branding. If you don't have a brand, I know there's a lot of guys. I know there's a lot of guys in our area that are great washers, but they're just stuck in the old times. It's kind of like we talked about on the podcast with Jeremy and Mike the other day. They just have a whatever, just a basic logo. They have a pressure washer. They do a great job. They have a lot of customers in their notebook, but they don't really have a brand. It's just, you know, Andy and his Andy's pressure washing or whatever. There's not really a brand like C3 Wash Pros or Matt the Driveway Guy, or, you know, I don't know what other good names there are in the area, but you gotta build some value behind your brand.
yeah, that I mean, if people see you investing in your brand, they're going to feel confident that you're going to invest in cleaning their home. It's a reflection, and they'll say, okay, well, if this guy has a magnet on the side of his truck and he doesn't care about marketing and branding his business, is he really going to be that good at cleaning my house? Is he going to have the best equipment? Is he going to care a lot, or is he going to be the cheap guy that I know I can hire him for cheap because he doesn't have a lot of expenses? Like, think of the psychology that you're putting out. Like, oh yeah, I have a trailer and a pressure washer. That's about it. Okay, you're gonna get cheap people because they're gonna go to you because they're gonna think they can get a deal, and that's not helping you out to hit these $1,000 days or consistent days where you can really grow your business. And in the beginning, it's like fill the schedule. How do you how do you fill $1,000 day, and then how do you fill a 5-day week? That's the starting point. And you try to do it as in little amount of jobs as possible, but you don't want to charge too much where you're not closing a lot of jobs and you're not staying busy, but you don't want to do it too cheap where it's costing you money and it's costing you too much time where you can't hit that $1,000 goal. So it's a game, and variables of like branding and all that stuff all play a factor in it. So it's super important because before Clay had his truck wrapped and all that stuff and the skid in the back, I'm sure if he was treating customers like, oh, this is what we have, our minimum, this is what we're doing, they would be like, sorry, I'm going to go with somebody else. But now that he has this brand in check, people don't even question him. They say, cool, sign me up. You knock out a job in an hour and a half, they're going to say, that's great, here's $500. But back in the day, they would probably go around and make sure that you didn't just cut corners.
I can personally vouch for that. The customer is much more confident. You know, you pull up with a nice clean truck with a wrap on it and some cool looking gadgets on the back of it. It's not really nothing fancy to me. I mean, it's just a professional, well put together skid, right? And when they see all that stuff, and they're like, okay, this guy's got the stuff. He's got what it takes to wash my house. And then, you know, I have this little thing where I walk up to ring the doorbell, wait for the customer. When I get the customer at the door, I immediately hand them a business card. They have all my information. They can stare at it. They can look me up further, do more research on me while I'm cleaning their house. And, you know, you treat them like a professional. And once you do that, they feel more confident. There's nothing more than you want than a customer to not feel confident when you show up, and show up with, you know, whatever you're showing up with, and then you're skittish, you're scared of the customer, you don't know how to socialize with the customer, you don't know how to talk to the customer. All you know how to do is pressure wash, which obviously that's what they hired you to do, but it goes a long ways if you know how to socialize, speak with the customer, know the proper verbiage, know how to speak with them, and then when it's complete, do your walk around with the customer, make sure they're happy, ask for that Google review, and then ask, hey, how would you like to pay today? Or, you know, what, however you do all that. We let our CRM handle all that because I feel like it's more professional doing it that way. But There's just so many small things that make the biggest difference.
I agree. And if you're new and you're stressed out and worried about how do I clean this? How do I clean that? How do I figure out how to do oxidation removal? How do I do rust removal? Figure out how to soft wash, figure out how to surface clean, be as efficient as you can be, simplify it, and then charge appropriately. Don't gouge people. Don't get too fixated in the little things on charging. Say, this is what I need to do to make my daily goal of say $1,000. I need to charge this job $300 to $500, and I need to figure. And then instead of being too worried and trying to be too complicated with the technical, figure out how to be a smiling guy, how to be friendly, how to be a good guy carrying a conversation with the customer, make them feel like, oh, wow, there's a great service there. And that is going to go so much farther than if you're the technical guy. Because every time I hire employees, I don't hire them based on their pressure washing ability. If anything, I hire employees that have never pressure washed before, because usually the ones that have pressure washed think they know everything. And then you have to say, well, I'm hiring you to pressure wash. Obviously, you don't know a lot about pressure washing. So, like, I hire these guys who are good social, personal guys, nice guys, attention to detail. That's all that's required in this business to be successful. So don't get too worried if you don't know all the technical, if you don't know, oh, how am I going to do this? How am I going to do that? Simplify it. You spray bleach, you spray water on a house, you get the green away, you hit it with a surface cleaner. $300. Multiply that 3 to 4 times, there's your $1,000 day. And like, it's a simple game, a simple business, but again, it's a people business. And people get stuck up in the nuances and the nonsense, and they kind of miss the point of it. And that's like a mistake I see newbies make, where they just overcomplicate stuff. And like my employee, he's Ryan, he's been with me 2 years, and I think he's washed 1,200 homes. So like, he didn't know anything about pressure washing. He knows how to pressure wash, and he does a great job doing it. But more importantly, customers love him. And that's what you guys want to be when somebody shows up. When you show up to somebody's house, you want to be like, wow, that guy's great. He spent 5 minutes talking to me. He's a great guy. He cares about my job. I had a pest control guy here today at my house. I don't care what he did. He just sprayed stuff out of a pump sprayer, and then he put some granules in my yard. But he was friendly, upbeat, cool. Seemed like he knew what he was doing. He left in 10 minutes. Did what he did do any technical thing to my house? I don't know. But the experience was great, so I give him a 5 star. And that's like the objective that we want to have with our business.
Yeah, if the customer doesn't like you, they're probably not going to call you back again. So make it as make it a great experience. Don't make it an awkward experience. Don't make it a weird experience. Just make it a great experience. Whatever you got to do, make it a great experience. Whether get a little personal with them, don't get personal, but find that common ground with the customer. If you're skittish, you're scared to talk to people, just find the common ground. Just have a conversation with the customer, just like it's your friend, just like it's your mom, just like it's your brother, whatever. But if they trust you, they will do business with you. They will keep doing business with you. My repeat customers are the easiest, and they're my most favorite. They're just like, whatever, just need to get on your schedule. Come on out, send me a bill.
That's the best thing about this time of year too. The repeats come out, and May, end of April, May for us with the pollen. All of my guys will hit me up. They're like, "Hey, I'm like 500, just like last time." They're like, "Sweet, just shoot me the invoice." And then the longer you're in business, you're like, I could fill 30 grand plus in 1 month of just repeat business. And then that's when it gets fun. And then like you level into saying, I'm going to add another truck, because like I know that these guys like me, I stay on them, and then they call me every year. And then the next year you got more and more and more, and then you're building out the business as it is. So we're charging people fairly. And then if somebody's like, hey, last year this is the price, and I'm like, that's fair for me still, let's roll forward. We keep it smooth, we keep it simple.
And you
And
know it's going to be clean from the previous year, so
that's another huge thing too. The first
it
time,
saves
like,
you
because like
time.
my employee has cleaned houses, and he's starting to see the repeats because it's like year 2, year 3. And he's like, the first time I cleaned it, it was filthy. But since we were fair and they liked us, they used us at a more frequent level, where we're almost cleaning it every other year. And the second time we go out, we're like spraying a little bit of algae slash dirt off the house versus like
And some
super baked
cobwebs.
on stuff. Yeah. So he's like, it takes half the time because the house is in maintenance mode as opposed to like the first cleaning. And that
And
just,
another big thing is knowing your area. You need to know your area as far as geographically. I hope I said that the right way. You need to know the map of your area, be very familiar with the travel time, and I think that plays a big role because if you're trying to hit 4 or 5 jobs and you got them all throughout your whole area in different spots, then you're going to be working all day.
Yep, I've knocked out jobs that were like within 10 miles of each other, and I'm done by 2 o'clock. And then other days where I'm going from Simpsonville to 30 minutes away to back to Simpsonville, you're like, I spent 3 hours of the day driving. So
Been
like,
there, done that, and you have to learn the hard way sometimes.
create a bread route. Create a route of saying this day I'm on this side of town. I'm not going to go within like I'm going to try to stay within like a 10-mile radius. That way I'm not killing myself here.
100%. Because obviously you can do 3 or 4 jobs right close to each other in half the time that you can do 3 or 4 jobs all over the place.
Exactly. So the point of this episode is time is money. Break down how much you want to make into how many jobs you need and then price those jobs accordingly. So simple game. We're at the 35 minute mark. You got any closing statements you want to make, Clay?
No, just wash on. If you have any questions, reach out to us. We have a lot of good stuff in the work, a lot of cool stuff in the works. I'm very excited about the stuff that we do have planned and coming forward. Make sure you're downloading the episodes. If you just now listen to the newer episodes, make sure you go back and listen to the older episodes. Figure out where we came from. It's like watching a series. Go back to the first and just follow our whole journey. That way, you got an idea of what we've been through this whole time. You learn on the way. You can
Exactly.
go you can go from back in our early stages, but make sure you go to Facebook. Go join our Wash Bros group on Facebook. It's the Wash Bros, and then follow the Wash Bros podcast, and then Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube. And then you can follow me on Facebook, Clay Smith, or you can follow Matt on Facebook, Matthew Jackson.
Yep. And if you guys reach out to us and you're like, hey, I don't know where to start. Can you help me? How do I get business? How do I start marketing? Start at episode 1. I know that sounds cliche, but it's not lazy on our end. Like, if you don't have enough information to ask specific questions of, like, I'm doing this, I need help with this, I'm stuck here, like, you need more learning, and more learning comes with just starting from scratch and listening to the first episode of the Wash Bros. Like, we literally document our journey, and throughout our discussions with each other, we've helped each other learn, and we've helped each other. Like, Clay says something on a podcast, I've implemented it, and then I'm like, oh, that actually worked. Like, sometimes you need to hear something 10 different times before it clicks, and this is a great platform because you can listen to us going back and forth for the last couple of years and saying something, and one time it may click, and then you say, oh, I'm going to do that, and then boom, you make an extra $20,000 a year. It's pretty cool what you guys can do if you just listen and implement.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people pay big money for a lot of the knowledge that we're putting out. It's some very good stuff. If my biggest thing is if you're not taking the time to listen, I mean, because all it is putting an bud in while you're working or whatever. If you can't take the time to listen and try to learn, obviously you're not too serious about your business. Don't try to shortcut and just start asking people, "Hey, what would you do about this?" Actually, go back and listen and figure out the journey that we've been on and the things that we've learned. And but that's what we're here to do. We're here to help you out. So
Yep. And like Clay said, we got some cool stuff in the works. We're putting together some content. You guys want the PDF version of the no pressure pressure washing book I have on Amazon. I also have there's an audiobook on there on Audible for free if you guys have Audible. But you can go to our the Wash Bros Facebook group. We'll drop a link, and there's that book in there, which is a great kind of like I kind of break down 22 steps of like what gets you from 0 to 100K a year. So it's, if you guys are more readers or you just want another piece of content, go to our Wash Bros group, get that. We're also going to drop some merch soon, so I'm working on like print on demand shirts, which will be super cool. So we're going to try to really get this out here and have fun with people, and who doesn't want a wash shirt? So stay tuned.
yeah, yep. Stay tuned. We'll give you some more information here shortly.
Sounds good. But we'll wrap this episode up, and appreciate everybody for listening. See you guys.
Peace.